Hello friends. In last video we covered section 16 to 34A. Today we will cover section 35 to 44A. Let's start. Section 35. This section covers the deduction allowed with respect to expenditure on scientific research. Section 35A. This section covers the treatment of capital expenditure incurred on acquisition of patent rights and copyrights. Section 35AB. This section covers the treatment of expenditure incurred on know-how for the business. Section 35ABA. This section covers the treatment of capital expenditure incurred for obtaining right to use spectrum for telecommunication services. Section 35ABB. This section covers the treatment of expenditure incurred for obtaining license to operate telecommunication services. Section 35AC. This is a special section for covering treatment of expenditure on eligible projects or schemes which are regularly notified by the government. Section 35AD. This section covers the deduction allowed with respect to expenditure in relation to specified business done by the assessee during the previous year. Section 35B. This section is omitted and no longer apply. Section 35C. This section is omitted and no longer apply. Section 35CC. This section is omitted and no longer apply. Section 35CCA. This section covers the treatment of expenditure incurred by way of payment to associations and institutions for carrying out rural development programs. Section 35CCB. This section covers the treatment of expenditure incurred by way of payment to associations and institutions for carrying out programs of conservation of natural resources. Section 35CCC. This section covers the treatment of expenditure incurred on agricultural extension project. Section 35CCD. This section covers the treatment of expenditure incurred on skill development project. Section 35D. This section covers the treatment of preliminary expenses incurred before the commencement of business. Section 35DD. This section covers the treatment of expenses incurred for the purpose of amalgamation or merger of its business. Section 35DDA. This section covers the treatment of expenses incurred under the scheme of Voluntary Retirement Scheme. Section 35E. This section covers the treatment of expenses incurred on prospecting or extraction or production of certain minerals. Section 35(6). Section 36. This section covers many other deductions which are allowed or not allowed in respect to other kind of expenses incurred during the previous year. Section 37. This is general section for allowing or not allowing expenses which are not specifically covered in section 30 to 36 but are incurred during the previous year. Section 38. This section covers treatment of expenses incurred in relation to a building or other assets which are partly used for business during the year. Section 39. This section is omitted and no longer apply. Section 40. This section covers the expenses which are not allowed to be deducted from business income, notwithstanding that is provided in section 30 to 38. Section 40A. This section covers the circumstances in which any expense will not be allowed to be deducted from business income, even if it is allowable otherwise in any other section of the Act. Section 41. This section covers the treatment of profits or gains arising out of expenses which were allowed as deduction earlier for business profits. Section 42. This is a special section that covers the condition to be fulfilled for allowing deductions of expenses incurred on prospecting or extraction or production of mineral oil. Section 43. This section covers some special definitions specifically in relation to income from profits and gains of business or profession. Section 43A. This section covers the consequential effect of change in the rate of foreign. Section 43AA. This section covers the taxation on foreign currency fluctuation. Section 43B. This section covers certain deductions which are allowed only on actual payment. Section 43C. This is a special section that covers the calculation of cost of acquisition of certain assets. Section 43CA. This is a special section that covers the calculation of full value of consideration for transfer of assets other than capital assets in certain cases. Section 43CB. This section covers how the income or profit to be computed in case of construction contracts or service contracts. Section 43D. This section covers the treatment of income of public financial institutions or public companies, etc. Section 44. This section covers the treatment of income of insurance business. Section 44A. This is a special section for covering the deduction in the case of trade, professional, or similar association.